What's up, everybody? It's time for part 2 of nouns. Okay, here we go. Number 1, mensch. Mensch is originally a Yiddish term, popular within the Jewish community. It's now becoming more mainstream in its usage in America. And mensch refers to a boy or a young man who's polite, respectful, kind, essentially good-hearted, a decent person. That's a mensch. A girl can't be a mensch. It's a male expression for boys only. So you either know one or are one. Hopefully you know a few. That's what a mensch is. It's a compliment. Next up, moment of truth. Moment of truth is a rather dramatic expression referring to the most important moment in any situation. It could be a moment when you have the opportunity to make and break something, or it could be the moment where you hear the results of something, where something that's out of your control happens. For instance, if you're on a game show, the most important question, the $64,000 question, would be the moment of truth, because that's when either you get a lot of money or maybe you go home with no money. So that's the most important part on the show, is that question. That's your moment of truth. Maybe the moment of truth is in a trial, in a court of law, the moment that the judge or the jury renders their verdict and says guilty or innocent. After all the talking and the questions and the depositions and the presentations, finally time for the moment of truth. Probably the moment everyone else has been waiting for. Guilty or innocent. So the moment of truth, very important. The moment of truth at the end of this course will be when you write reviews for me and let me know how this was. That'll be my moment of truth. Hope you tell me that you liked it. All right, that's moment of truth. Next up, non sequitur. I think the best way to describe this one is to give you an example off the bat. Here's a non sequitur for you. Ready? Okay. Shelley sells seashells on the seashore. Okay, what I just said has no relation to this course. You're probably scratching your head right now, being like, what did he say and why did he say it? Well, I'm giving you an example of a non sequitur. So it's something that has no contextual relation. It seemingly comes out of nowhere. It doesn't make any sense in the context. You hear non sequiturs a lot on TV shows, often on a sitcom, for instance. There may be a character or two that says really weird things at really weird times. You'd say that that character is known for their non sequiturs. So a non sequitur. Usually it's pretty funny, at least on TV. All right, that's a non sequitur. Next up, remix. This originally was a musical term referring to a song that was altered from its original form. For instance, maybe it was sped up, different instruments were added, different singers. A remix, especially dance remix, to be played in a music hall. So a remix of a song. Remix these days is used more broadly to describe any form of media. So for instance, this course you're watching, if I decided to change things up and put the lectures in different orders and swap them around and move things around, so it was essentially the same course, but it was modified. It took a different form because I changed things about it. You might call that a remix of my original course. Remix can also be a verb. You could say, I remixed my course, or he remixed my song. But as a noun, we say, this song is a remix. Have you heard this remix? It's really good. Or you could say, I remixed my website. So remix, noun or verb. In the context of music, it's often a noun. You talk about remixes. If you break it down, remix, mix again. Another mix of the same song. Okay, get it? Next up, slam dunk. Slam dunk. Basketball. Slam dunk. Probably the easiest shot in the game once you jump up with the ball and get to the rim. You know what a slam dunk is, right? In basketball, you jump, you put your hand on the rim, it's going in because you're right at the rim. You don't have to think about is it going to go in the basket or not because you're at the basket. So you have to be pretty unlucky to go up for a slam dunk and have the ball not go in the basket. It's that easy once you're up there. So slam dunk refers more generally to any situation where you're probably going to score. You're probably going to get something you want. If you're applying for a job and you have even more experience than they want, and your resume is even better than anyone else's, and you are like the perfect fit for this job you want, you might say, man, this is slam dunk. This is going to be a slam dunk. I got this. I have no doubts about my abilities in this situation. Just like the basketball player shouldn't have any doubts in his ability to get that ball through the hoop. Slam dunk. Easy situation. Like, even more than easy. Almost guaranteed success. That's a slam dunk. Okay, next up, rip off. I hope you don't find yourself dealing with too many rip-offs in your life, because what a rip-off refers to is a situation where you get less than you should. Maybe you buy a product and it sucked. Maybe you buy a car and it's got rust all over it and you didn't know it at the time, but it's a really bad car. Maybe you signed up for a cooking class and it turns out that the teacher has never spent 1 minute in the kitchen. So for the money that you spent, you're not getting anywhere near the value that you deserved or expected in return. You would refer to that class as a ripoff. You can also use that as a verb. You could say, I really got ripped off. Maybe my friend ripped me off by selling me this thing that is no good. There are websites like Ripoff Report, websites devoted to ripoffs, where people list scams that they've unfortunately encountered and other bad situations. So, ripoff. Not a good situation to find yourself in. Alright, next up, sweet spot. Sweet spot refers to the spot on an object or in a situation that's the best, the most optimal, the sweetest, if you will. It originally comes from baseball, where a certain point on the bat is considered the best place to hit the ball, so it goes the farthest. Ted Williams, famous baseball player, wrote a whole book about it, how to swing your bat and hit the ball on the sweet spot. And you can say this is the sweet spot on an object to get a certain effect out of it. Sweet spot is used more generally to refer to the best part of a area or a theme. For instance, if you're looking to go into business selling, let's say, ice cream, and you have all sorts of options, selling sherbet, selling low fat, selling non-fat, but you find out that the area that you're in, 75% fat is the best amount of fat. It's not enough fat that people will get concerned about getting fat, but it's not too little fat that people will hate the taste. It's just the right amount of fat. You'd say 75% is my sweet spot. I literally picked a sweet example for my sweet spot explanation. Maybe you're looking to move into a city and you're looking at different neighborhoods, and certain neighborhoods are very expensive and nice neighborhoods. Certain areas are less expensive but not very nice. You are hoping to maximize the niceness of the neighborhood with the amount of money that you spend, and you find that there's a certain line, a certain part of town that's not too expensive. It's sort of on the cusp, and it's a pretty decent area, so it's worth it. It's not too expensive, and it's nice and safe. That would be the sweet spot. You found the sweet spot of the area between Avenue A and Avenue R, for instance. That's the sweet spot. So sweet spot, it can be literal, like the case of the point on the bat, or the amount of fat in ice cream, or it can be more general. Maybe you found the sweet spot for dealing with someone, not being too harsh or not being too kind if you're trying to get them to do work for you. So that would be the sweet spot. You found the sweet spot in your interactions with that person. Okay, next up, troll. This is a fun one, and it's one that's also a verb. Troll originally literally referred to little dolls that have frizzy hair and jewels on their bellies. Kids' dolls. What troll means often on the internet, it's someone who signs up for a message board and writes comments that make people upset. But the key is that they don't really mean what they say. They might say, the government is awful. I want to hurt people who I hate. They're not really going to do that. They don't even really intend to. They're just trying to get reactions out of people. Often online you'll see people write, this person's a troll, don't take him seriously, don't believe what he's writing. Troll is often used offline too, to refer to someone who is believed to be speaking or shouting or arguing, not because he agrees with what he's saying necessarily, but just to get a reaction out of people. And it's often a verb. You might hear someone say, this politician is trolling. He's trying to rile up his base and get votes. Trolling. It's not something good to be accused of. You always want to be thought of as, at least I do, saying what I mean and meaning what I say. But if you thought I was saying certain things to get a reaction and maybe get hate from people, then in your eyes, I would be a troll. So that's troll. All right, next up, 2 cents. Let me give you my 2 cents means let me give you my advice. Let me give you my 2 cents on something. Let me give you my 2 cents on the best way to learn English. It simply means advice, perspective. 2 cents, pretty straightforward, right? The implication is, it's just 2 cents. It's not like I'm sitting down with you and lecturing you for an hour. It might take 2 minutes for me to tell you my opinion on something. It's just my 2 cents. Okay, finally, zone. Literally, zone means an area, a part of something. Like that neighborhood zone, that's not too expensive. This is the zone. Zone, more generally though, can mean, if I say I'm in the zone, I'm in my element. I am in a flow state. I am not overthinking. I am not overanalyzing. I am simply doing my thing. If you're in the zone, maybe you're working, and if someone knocks on your door and interrupts you, you would say, hey, I'm in the zone, man. Please don't interrupt. Don't bother me. My mind is working at full speed. If you're in the zone, then you probably don't want to be interrupted, and you're probably really focused, and you're probably getting a lot of work done because you're in a good mental state. You're in the zone. And that's the end of nouns. Hope you got a lot out of these, and please stay tuned for the next lecture.